Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So today I'm doing something a bit out there, probably not even needed, but I wanted to do it. I'm making a video on controversial topics in the motorbike community on social media, because you know, who doesn't need my opinion on that? Obviously, I will just start off the video by saying that these are my takes on the bike topics. These aren't like, this is how it is, this is just what I think about them. Whether that my opinion is needed or not, I just thought that I would put it out there, what I think of everything. But yeah, let's get on with the video. I have a bunch of videos saved on social media that are all what I consider to be controversial topics or just hot takes that people do. So the first one is BikeTok is becoming toxic. I don't believe this is true. So I think there is a side of BikeTok and a side of Instagram talk, the bike side of Instagram that is toxic, but I don't think that necessarily means that the entirety of BikeTok is toxic. I genuinely think if you're saying that BikeTok is toxic, it's because you are interacting with the toxic side of BikeTok. However, this does not mean that I agree with the toxic side of BikeTok. I'm just saying that I don't think that the entirety of BikeTok is. I have a lot of, like, most of my content, the content I see is actually really good educational content or rides that are really good quality and they're just good to see and they make you feel immersed in the content. But for the side of BikeTok that is toxic, I will just say that I think it is harmful, obviously, to anybody watching it, but especially younger people. If they, obviously we all know that there is people that aren't supposed to be on social media that are on social media, including young people who will see the toxic BikeTok content, which the type of content I'm talking about is where they like glorify bad stuff happening when you're on your bike. And I think if young people are seeing this, then they are going to believe that that is all bikes are about, and we obviously don't want people believing that that is what the community is about. The bike community is actually a really amazing community. Everyone I've met has been absolutely amazing. They're a lot more friendly than you'd think they'd be. Obviously the idea that most people have in their head of bike gangs or bike groups are big burly men. Even when you meet those big burly men, none of them are horrible people. Well, you got the odd few obviously that are like stuck up their own asses, but the majority of them are pretty nice people. Obviously if you follow me on TikTok and Instagram, you can see that my bike group is not big burly men. We actually even have a video of me, CBR fam and Moto Posty wearing tutus on our bikes, riding around Swansea, and I can't remember where else we went, but we were all in tutus. My point is that you have different sides of social media everywhere, in every community, but that doesn't mean that the entirety bike Instagram is toxic. It definitely isn't. I love the content I see on mine. Like, if you are okay doing dangerous speeds and risky maneuvers that could get you killed just because you don't care if you die on your bike, or you're okay with you dying on your bike, then fine, but that doesn't mean you need to go on there and glorify you dying on your bike. It doesn't mean that you need to be influencing other people. That's literally what it is, because if you're posting on social media, you are an influencer, which means you are influencing people, and if you're posting content like that, you are influencing the wrong type of behaviour to have when you're on a motorbike. It is one of the most dangerous things you can do to have a motorbike, and most people who ride motorbikes ride it because of how freeing it is. But they all know the risk they take when they get on the bike, but that does not mean that they expect to die. But yeah, that's my hot take on the BikeTok is toxic. Anyways, on to the next one. So the next one I have is by JDoll0 on TikTok. So I'll probably have the video right here when I'm talking about it. But she says, POV, financing your first bike is better than buying on Marketplace. Financing your first bike can be really great, because obviously if you're learning, then you want to have a mechanically sound bike. but the problem with financing your first bike is a lot of people drop their bikes or crash their bikes within the first year. I don't think I know anyone that hasn't dropped their bike at some point. So if you're financing a bike and you drop it and obviously damage it, then that's going to cause problems. That's why a lot of people do buy their first bikes on Marketplace, even if they're a piece of shit. Because if they're already a piece of shit and you're learning on it, then it's okay if you damage it because it's already a piece of shit. It's like my first bike. I bought a 125 off Facebook Marketplace, which worked for a while, but it was scratched and it only had one frame slider, and the engine started giving out at some point, and I was like, I just didn't really care what happened to it then. But I crashed my bike in the first 8 months of riding. It was the first 2 months of having my 125, funnily enough, but that was because of a stupid reason. But yeah, the point is, most people do crash or drop their bikes within the first year. Most people drop their bikes within some time of having a bike, and I just think if you're financing something, it's going to cause a lot of problems, obviously. But it's not a bad option if you obviously want a reliable bike for your first bike. The next one is a more commonly known one. I've actually never had a problem with this, but I have heard of a few people having a problem with this. Basically, I'm talking about the cc of bike that you ride. Obviously, there's some people who think that people who ride smaller bikes don't know how to ride or aren't proper riders, whatever. And I think, honestly, the answer to that topic is they need to shut the fuck up. That's all I have to say. No, but honestly, yeah, I don't even, if you've got an engine and 2 wheels, it's a fucking motorbike and you're riding. Even if it's a moped, you're still a biker. Like, I just think it's absolutely absurd when people, I don't know why I said absurd then, I sounded really posh, but I think it's really stupid when some people are so far up their own asses that they genuinely believe that people on smaller CCs aren't proper riders. Honestly, if they are like that, then just don't even bother with them. Obviously, in the UK, it's not even something that you can help. If you're 17 or 18, well, if you're 16, you can only have a 50cc. If you're 17 or 18, you can only have a 125. And 19 and above, you can go only to 47 brake horsepower, might be less. You have to have it restricted, or you have to have like a lower cc. And then when you hit 21 or 24, you can get a bigger bike. But 16 to 18-year-olds can't even go bigger than a 125, so judging people on the size of their bike is fucking ridiculous because they can't do anything to change it. And if someone was over 19 or over 18, no, 19, and you want to ride a 125, that's not a problem either. Honestly, I think the solution to this problem is to just not comment on other people's fucking lives. There's no need. I don't see why people do it, honestly. I don't understand. But none of my business. I think honestly just stay out of people's lives. Okay, so the next one is a pretty big one that I see all of the time. What people wear on their bike. Honestly, I think this is another one where you just stay out of it. Like, people can wear whatever the fuck they want. They know the risk they're taking when they get on the bike, and even if you do tell them, I don't know if you realise this, but the video is taken, edited, then uploaded, which means they've already been on the bike and not worn gear, so your comment isn't going to change the past. So you're just changing nothing. If they want to wear no gear, then let them wear no gear. Obviously, I wouldn't advise it, because if you come off, you're going to scrape all your skin off. But most people who ride bikes know that. And if they do it anyway, then they know the risk they're taking. You should always wear your gear. Yeah, I don't see the point in hating on someone just because they don't wear as much gear as you would, or don't wear any gear. Like, them not wearing gear doesn't change the course of the entire world, does it? It's not going to blow up the universe. So stop letting it affect you so much. Honestly. I've got so much attitude in this, guys. I promise I'm not rude. Obviously, it is boiling hot right now, and I get the idea of not wanting to wear full gear, but there are other options. Obviously, if you're on a budget, then maybe you can't afford it. So I feel like when it comes to bikes, the first thing you should buy is gear, then the bike. And it doesn't even have to be expensive gear, it just needs to be good gear that's going to protect you on the road. And then if further down the line you want to get the better gear, then you can save up and get it then, but you need gear before you get a bike, especially when you're learning, because you're more likely to come off. The funny thing is, I actually see a lot of people hating on the women in the bikinis or the women in the t-shirts with no gear on, but I never see anyone commenting on the men in short sleeve t-shirts or trackies. Like, bro, that's literally the same thing. Your trackies aren't going to protect you from getting your skin grated off, are they? I swear I don't have an attitude all the time. I don't know why I'm being so sassy, guys, I promise. But yeah, it's no different. So if you're gonna hate on one, then why are you not hating on everyone? But honestly, I think the only person the hate is affecting is you. Either they won't read your comment or they won't care about your comment. So the only person it's affecting or annoying is you. So just let it go. Okay, so the next one is group rides, which I think I have spoken about in another video. And I think for beginners, group rides are probably the worst thing for you, especially the big ones where not even everyone knows each other. If you've got like a little group of friends, like 4 or 5 people, then fair enough, but not like the huge ones where they set them up on social media and everything, because even if you think it won't, it will make you want to go the speed they're going or make you want to do what they're doing, and that can lead to people crashing. So I think learn on your bike, learn everything you need to learn about your bike and how to handle it properly. Like, genuinely handle it properly, because I see all these people saying that they learned everything they could on a bike and they can't even do like a figure of 8 on their bike. So do all your learning, make sure you can handle the bike properly, and be disciplined. Be disciplined, because group rides can be fun, but they can also be chaotic. The amount of people I've seen that have hosted group rides on social media and they've ended up having people crashing is insane. I should have a script, guys, because I'm going to end up saying some crazy shit that is going to get me cancelled. Not that I have much for following to get cancelled anyway, but yeah. Group rides, I think, are a later down the line type of thing. If you're just getting your first bike, your first thought shouldn't be to go on a group ride. Most people I've seen don't go on group rides for about 3 to 6 months. Obviously, if you want to wait longer, then that's up to you. But again, this stuff is advice. It's not being like, don't do that. Because what the fuck am I going to do if you go on a group ride when you've just got a bike? It's just advice. So the next one is the link between BikeTok and BookTok.
That's my fucking location.
So I am actually a member of both. I read a lot of books and I ride a bike. And I think some people can take it too far, but then there's also obviously the people that are purposely posting BikeTok footage to get views from BookTok. So if they're aiming for those type of viewers, then the BookTok girls can do whatever they want, really, because that's what the guys and girls are hoping for. But the problem with it is that then BookTok generalize every BikeTok creator into the BookTok side of things, when obviously not every BikeTok creator wants to be a part of that. So if they don't want to be a part of that and their content is nothing to do with BookTok, then the BookTok people need to leave them alone. If you're harassing people that don't want anything to do with BookTok, then you're not a decent human being. Just be a decent human being, really. But the actual social media side of things, I think the main thing is that some people are too judgmental or too over the top, like BookTok. I'm rambling on, I should be sticking to my topics. So the BookTok one that I got it from, the inspiration for that was a BikeTok person making a video about BookTok, and it's about BookTok girls stalking BikeTok people, which is obviously not okay. If they're taking the piss, then they're taking the piss, but if they're being serious, then that's something to be concerned about. Again, it's the whole, there's 2 different sides, because there's 2 different sides to BookTok, because I read books, but I'm not a fucking mental case. I just like the books that are on BookTok. But then you also have the people who are genuinely like obsessed with the people they see on social media, and they're actually a bit concerning. So there's two different sides, like there is to everything. I think the last one we will have is, I don't know who needs to hear this, but a 600 is not a good starting bike. So he's talking about, obviously, the 600s are very nice looking bikes, so they are very tempting, and he says that you obviously might think that you'll respect the throttle and you'll be careful and you'll grow into it. But what nobody tells you is how unforgiving a 600 is when you're still learning the basics. So he talks about, obviously, the power that is behind a 600cc motorbike, and how that you could be unintentionally going 90 miles per hour because you've just pulled the throttle like half an inch too far. You need to learn the basics on a smaller bike before you can go with something that powerful. They obviously go about 170 miles an hour. Not only is the speed dangerous, but when you're still trying to learn slow speeds, clutch control, counter steering and emergency braking, a 600 is very hard to learn that on, especially slow speeds and counter steering, because of the power in the bike. Slow speeds especially, because if you're trying to get used to the throttle on a 600 and you accidentally put it too far, you're obviously not going to be going slow anymore, are you? 600s are very nice fairings, but they are not forgiving, because if you're a learner, like I said before, you're most likely going to drop your bike, and the fairings on a super sport will scrape or they will break, and you've just dropped like thousands of pounds on a 600 motorbike that you've now just dropped and fucking broke the fairings off, and you have to buy new fairings, which are really expensive. So I think the best option is to go for a smaller cc, less, like one with less power and maybe not as nice looking, because then you won't be as upset when you're learning and you drop the bike. Even if you could get a 250, 300 and learn on that and then go up to a 600, but I'm no expert, honestly. I've never even ridden a 600. I have a 650cc motorbike, and the difference between that and my 125 is fucking crazy, and a 650 is slower than a 600. Like, when I pulled the throttle on that, I was like, what the fuck? That thing literally wants to go as soon as you touch the throttle. So a 600 has got to be mental. I obviously already have learned. I've been riding for 2 years on a 125, and I pretty much rode it every single day because that's my only mode of transport, and gone up to a 650, which has to be restricted because I live in the UK and A2 licenses you have to have a restricted bike. But yeah, 600 for a first bike, I would say no, but that's my opinion. If you want to do it, then go on, do it. But I would do your research and do a hell of a lot of fucking training if you're going to be getting a 600 first. Like slow speed training in car parks and U-turns and figure of eights and everything if you're going to start on a 600, because that bike, when you are riding it on a normal road, is not forgiving at all. You need to be able to handle it, and if you can't, you will end up hurting yourself or someone else. Anyways, me yapping and making everyone feel depressed. Honestly, the bike community is, I think, is really amazing. You have obviously the bad sides and the good sides of it, but it's one of the best communities I've ever been a part of. And if you are thinking of joining, then join. Let me know down below what you think of all the controversial topics I've spoken about today, what your view is, or just tell me to shut the fuck up, or tell me what your first bike was and your opinion. Obviously, if you've had a 600 and you think it was the best idea, then let me know down below and you can shut me right up. I think that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Bye.